but we're going to fly across the country and we're going to do a whole run around here. And that's just like, whatever, okay, fine.
Carlisle.
Then the unforgivable thing happens.
What's the unforgivable?
So we get all the drama where she's like, they're running from this vampire. Bella sneaks away because the vampire calls her and is like, I have your mom. And she believes that and she goes. And we get basically Bella getting fucked up by this vampire. He's just sort of beating her up, not in any way that feels particularly graphic, even by a teen standards. In fact, where does that happen?
Yeah, it happens when they're like, and he has that camera. So there, I think there is something kind of sexual about it, like that kind of. He has this young girl and he's kind of torturing her and filming it and loving it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of sadistic side of sexuality that I guess is hinted at there, but not explicitly expressed because again, this is like a kid's book, right? Like,
No, I croaked. No, Edward, don't. And then something smashed into my face, throwing me back into the broken mirrors. Over the pain of my leg, I felt the sharp rip across my scalp where the glass cut into it. And then the warm wetness began to spread through my hair with alarming speed. I could feel it soaking the shoulder of my shirt, hear it dripping on the wood below. The smell of it twisted my stomach. So, like, he's beating her up. She's, like, about to pass out, but for some reason, she has a hopeful moment, and we sort of get the sense that, like, she's about to be rescued. We get to the next chapter, and she's just being saved. And it's not like she's watching, Edward and this vampire duke it out. She's just, they're running toward her. Oh no, Bella, no. That's what Edward says. Oh no, Bella, no. She keeps referring to him as an angel because she's like dying.
Stephenie Meyer's a Mormon, so
And bad vampires nowhere to be seen.
yeah,
Bad guy's gone.
dude,
He's just beating her up, and then, like, for 2 seconds, he's beating her up. He, like, talks at her for a while, then he hits her a couple of times, and then that's over. And then we're just like, she's being saved now. And I'm like, wait, hold on. I don't get to see vampires rip up this other vampire.
yeah.
That's the moment that I don't forgive in this book.
Well, honestly, dude, when you think about that scene, that entire scene is just like a long, drawn out 100 pages. Like, if these vampires if these 7 verse 3 could easily overpower this guy, why didn't they do it right there in that field? Like,
yeah, and
why did they make it
this
this
guy
elaborate?
feels like he could have been like some kind of weird, like, serial killer vampire type. Like, where they could have been like setting something up.
Well, that's
As,
what I
like, the
mean. So there
backstory.
is this kind of like,
So, like, at least there would be more weight to what's happening with all of those, pages that we read where they're in high school and she's like building friendships with people that we don't care about. So at least like their classmate would die or something.
and
Like,
this.
something that would hold a little more.
Well, we've talked about this in other books, more literary books, where you talked about suppression, like the kind of suppressed events in a lot of literary novels. This is suppressed in not like a technical kind of technique way. It's suppressed in a bad way. Like, we want to see the event.
Like, oh, we don't want to watch this person die, so we'll just not write that part in.
And this is where I think the Mormon
And it's
thing
just like,
matters.
what
Yeah.
the fuck? Like, the whole point is that, like, you're so fucking dangerous. We're supposed to, like, believe from him being able to, like, run quickly and pick her up, like that he's, like, super dangerous and he growls. But, like, I feel like as a reader, until I actually, like, see him harm something, I'm gonna have a hard time with it.
Yeah, I think that's where like the Mormon distinction becomes more important because like the fact that she's a Mormon, so we can't have premarital sex, we can't have
Could just be really lame.
violence, we can't have
And I say that as a fan. I say it
yeah,
as a fan. Love this book.
yeah.
Hate it. Really enjoyed it.
I stopped taking notes after that, and I was just my final note
I
was,
just
well,
kept writing where I saw sex happening and where I saw really optimal moments to like substitute boner for another. But
quivering member.
yeah, there's also just like, yeah, there's all this shit. I mean, there's like, a lot of people I think would criticize it for the same reason that any, I think, adult would criticize it with like a female character who always needs to be saved, who's like clumsy and like she smells like flowers and she likes the bad boy and who doesn't seem bad at all. He's just like the hottest guy at school. Like that's all it is.
Yeah, he actually seems like
Just
a really nice guy.
he's like a really nice guy who is only emotionally available to her.
Yeah. I didn't have many notes out of it, but I have a couple questions, and we talked about this a little bit. And my question is, where does the tension exist in this novel? Like we relationship, violence, where would we say that the main tension exists? I know we talked a little bit about it, but
Oh, it's just one, when will they kiss?
yeah, that's one of probably the main tension.
Two, how long are they going to like each other this time before they like get into a stupid argument and then he goes, "Bella, I'm dangerous, but hey, I love you. I'll stay with you." That of
Yeah.
course becomes a cycle and we get very used to it.
And then, of course, Bella being coveted by all creatures that are fantastical and want to kill her, but also bang her.
But also just regular dudes. She's also like really popular at school,
Yeah.
but supposedly like a loner.
Right, but I
Like
mean,
the
like,
girls
that's
want to make her seem like
if I'm
not
trying
like
to
a loner,
pinpoint.
but like she's not just like a popular girl. She's different. She's the hottest girl at school, but she's different.
Yeah. And I just mean, like, if I'm trying to pinpoint, like, where I would call the kind of, tension, drama, whatever you want to call it, the thing that's required of most, most stories for us to be interested in them. And I guess you're right. Like, most of it is, okay, will they kiss and will they be
And
together?
will they stay together? Yeah. Or
Because
is
it
he
is
gonna
like
like abandon her?
the thing that
That's the
my
whole thing.
mind goes to is the violence. So she's in danger is where my, kind of brain was like, okay, this is where the tension is. But I think you're right because it's so just 100 pages of tension, and with a 500-page book of like the
Yeah,
violent, she's
no.
gonna die.
His character makes all of the choices
Right.
for this plot. Like it doesn't feel like she's a character with real agency. She's sort of just like except for like I mean she decides to go sneak away to try to save her mom, which is like I guess one moment where she's like but even in that moment she's like, "Well, I'm resigned to dying now because I know it's going to happen because I'm going to die. I'm going to go meet the vampire and I'm going to probably die."
Yeah.
And she's just like
Self-sacrifice.
yeah, it's very like I'm just gonna sacrifice myself and probably not even succeed in saving my mom. So why am I going? But throughout the whole thing, it's like, things only happen because Edward shows up that day and like insists that like she doesn't actually make anything happen.
Right. That leads me into my next question, but yeah, I would agree that like, and that's what I think is one of the big weaknesses is that since the main tension is just about whether or not they're going to kiss or be either be boyfriend girlfriend.
Yeah, and I would say also it's fine that she like isn't the primary, like she's not the thing that moves, you know, make something happen. Like things can happen to you and that can still be a good book. It's just
Well, there are endless debates about that. Yeah, if you have a passive main character, is the book less interesting?
well, not
Usually.
passive, just like it can be like the primary tension could be like some external force. Like,
Right.
it could be like something going on in nature. It could be like war.
But
And
yeah,
this character makes all their choices based on that. But
it just wasn't enough for me, and I think that was one of the main reasons I got so bored and frustrated reading this. And I mean, I'm not the target audience. Like, rapidly approaching middle age white male. I don't know if I'm the target audience for this.